Oh my goodness. So did we just hear that Millennial TV started because of Steven?
Yeah, so you all
Just
thank
Candace.
Stephen Colletti
thank
for
you,
this.
Steven.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for our friendship.
We owe it all to Steven. Welcome back to a new episode of Millennial TV. We are your hosts, Liz, Candace, and Adrienne, and today we will be recapping Season 2, Episode 6 of Laguna Beach, I Hate Valentine's Day. Before we get started, we wanted to reintroduce ourselves to any new listeners that we might have. So we are Millennial TV, which is a millennial-era reality TV and pop culture podcast, and right now we are recapping Laguna Beach Season 2. I am Liz, and I live in San Diego. I grew up in Michigan, but I've lived here for 18 years now. I'm 36, and I have 2 daughters. I've been married to my husband, Kyle, for 11 years, and we met in Los Angeles while we were both going to film school. So we're both video editors, and I'm also a sound editor. We have 2 cats, and we love going to theme parks, the movies, and we love watching reality TV. Adrienne, do you want to tell us about yourself next?
Sure. So I'm Adrienne. I live in Vancouver, Canada, and I'm 30, flirty, and thriving. And I'm going to say that as many times as I can this year. I'm on the younger end of the millennials, but don't you mistake me for a Gen Zer. I don't say things like chuggy or no cap or hits different. And if you don't know what those words mean, you're definitely a millennial. And if you do, you're like me, you're trying to stay young so you know what the kids are saying these days. Anyways, I love reality TV and I'm so excited you're joining us. Candace?
That was so cute. That was so good. I'm like, I need to redo mine now.
I know. I'm like, wait, I'm seeing such different things.
Mine's so boring. That was so cute.
I'm Candace. I am 32. I was born in 1991. I grew up in California, but now I live in Pennsylvania, which, yes, it was a culture shock. Millennial TV is my little brainchild, and I'm so proud and happy that we've come this far. When I'm not podcasting, I work in healthcare, but I would rather be podcasting full time. So if anybody has any jobs for me, let me know. I'm a huge animal lover, and I have a sweet baby bunny, Banks, at home. I'm also a huge Taylor Swift fan, so shout out to my Swifties. And I love all things reality TV and pop culture.
If you'd like to follow us, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and we also have a subreddit, and you can find us at Millennial TeaV. That's Millennial TeaV on all of those platforms. And we also have an email address if you want to drop us a line. Our email is millennialtv@gmail.com. We're so happy to have you here, and let's get into the episode. So before we start talking about the episode, I just thought it would be fun to ask you guys what your opinion is on Valentine's Day first. Like, do you enjoy it? Do you hate it? What do you guys think about it?
I used to, like, when you first start dating someone, or like, I feel like when you're younger, like, it was such a big deal. You do dinner, you buy gifts, you do the flowers. And
Right.
I've now been with my boyfriend for like coming up on 9 years. And I'm like, please don't buy me flowers. They're going to die anyway. I don't like flowers. And I'm like, God, we have to go spend money on another big gift. I'm like, there are so many events in the year that already happen. So nowadays, it's not as big of a deal to me. And I don't know if that's a product of just like getting older or being with the same person for like a long time.
Well, yeah, it feels like a made-up holiday, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Valentine's Day is kind of traumatic for me.
Oh no, how come? Share your trauma. No,
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Okay, it's not like real trauma. It's just like, so I always really loved Valentine's Day because when I was little, my dad, he was my first Valentine. So he would always buy like me and my mom flowers and like a stuffy.
Aww.
It was amazing and I loved it. And, you know, I was always like, when I get a boyfriend, he's going to be just like my dad. And he's going to get me like all these presents and gifts. And then when I was in 7th or 8th grade, I was dating this guy and he bought me like a necklace and it had like an actual like diamond chip in it. Like it was like, and for an 8th grade boy, like that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, right? He like bought it with his own money.
Wow.
And he bought me like a stuffy that it was like a bear and it was holding 3 hearts and it said I love you. And I like died because it was the 8th grade and somebody was telling me they loved me. And I wore the necklace in PE and we were running and I lost it.
Oh no.
And I have never felt worse in my life. I had to tell this poor boy that I lost his necklace that he probably spent like all of his allowance on.
No, not the same day. Like you lost it later, right?
No.
The same
It was
day.
the same day.
Oh no.
Oh my gosh.
Like, shout out to him. He was so sweet about it. So, you know, when I was younger, it was kind of traumatic because I always remembered that and felt bad. The only other Valentine's Day from my youth that is memorable is a guy really liked me freshman year of high school, and we had dated for like 2 days, and I broke up with him because I wasn't interested. And he wanted to get me back, and it was Valentine's Day, so he got this giant card, and I mean like bigger than like me.
Oh my gosh.
And he was like walking to school with it, and like we could all see him like we were like standing in front of the school and we could see him from the sidewalk, like walking into school with this big card, and I'm like, oh my god, please don't be for me, please don't be for me, please don't be for me. And of course it was for me. And it was really embarrassing. So yeah, those are like the two from my youth that are memorable, but now I'm just like, it's a fake holiday and like who cares.
It's so
but
funny.
That's my Valentine's Day trauma from my youth.
Do you still do like dinner though?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do it too.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like it's like super meaningful, but it's just like something to
I mean,
celebrate.
you do something because
To
it
go
is
out
like,
for a night, yeah.
It's just kind of like, you know, I'd rather spend money on other things like let's take a vacation together or like let's like do something else some other time. Like it just feels like busy out and everybody's doing the same thing, and like buy me my chocolate covered strawberries and we're good.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, that's how me and Kyle are now too. It's like, especially now with kids, and like I think Valentine's Day this year is on like a Wednesday or something, so we'll probably just like DoorDash sushi or something like that and be like, this is fancy, you know.
Love sushi. That sounds perfect.
That's like,
I'm stealing your idea.
That's our like number one. If we're gonna go out to eat, we're like, let's get sushi.
I love sushi.
Okay, so we will get started with the previously on. After winter formal, two things were certain in Laguna. Jason and Jessica were a disaster, and Kristin was missing Steven. Kristin had been hanging out with Talon, but he just wasn't boyfriend material. The last time she saw Steven, it was really bad, and as usual, he went running back to Lauren. But when it came to picking a Valentine, guess who he chose?
So hostile.
I know.
I know. She was like, I guess who he chose.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we know. True. Kristin, you win. Like, you win.
Yeah.
You do kind of win. But
and so random. Like the last time we saw them together, they hated each other and she was into Talon.
Yes.
And now all of a sudden it flipped.
But the emphasis on Kristin having a boyfriend just in the previously on was so irritating to me. Like, who cares? At this point in her life, she's like so above it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like she's just here to have a good time. Like, we don't need to talk about Talon or Steven. Like, let a girl live.
Yeah. She doesn't have to have a boyfriend all the time.
No.
So we open the show with Kristin and Alex H hanging out, and they're talking about Steven. Kristin tells Alex that Steven called her and asked her out to dinner because he will be in town that weekend. Alex asks if it's like a date, and Kristin says he asked her out for Valentine's Day, so it must be a date. Alex tells Kristin that she's a pimp, and Kristin says that she's a PIMP. I love that.
Steven is consistently trying to get Kristin back. It's a little embarrassing. Asking a girl out on Valentine's Day is so specific, you know?
Yeah. All right, so in our first scene, we see Lo and her new boyfriend, Patrick, arriving at Lauren's house. As they're walking down the steps to the door, Lo tells him it's a mansion overlooking the ocean, literally. And this is the first time Lauren is meeting Patrick, and she asks how long they've been dating, and he says it was just before winter break, so a couple of months. Lauren says Lo has never made it over a month, and Lo says, hey, watch it. I actually like him.
So cute.
I know. Lauren tells him that he should feel very special. And then Lo asks Lauren about Valentine's Day, and Lauren says she doesn't have a Valentine. Lo says Lauren's lying, and then Patrick suddenly joins in with, oh, sorry, Elsie, I'm sure you'll find someone. I thought that was so weird.
I was so annoyed.
I'm like, shut up, dude.
I was like, first of all, like, enjoy your 2 minutes of fame, Patrick.
Exactly.
Second of all, sorry, Elsie. Like, you're meeting her for the first time. You do not get Elsie privileges.
That's what I thought, too.
Well, I just thought the producers picked very, like, flirty looking shots of Patrick looking at Lauren and talking
Yeah.
to. I'm like, what is happening? This is weird.
It seemed like he was having like really excited to meet her. Like,
Yeah.
like he would, like she was a celebrity and he's like, sorry, I'll see. Oh my God, I said I'll see. Like it was
overdoing
really
it.
awkward.
Yeah.
I was like, I really hope that like this is not how this guy actually was like, in real life. I think it was just like a bad moment.
He kind of looks like Steven,
Kind of.
but with like a mix of Asian, which I'm
Yeah.
kind of into.
He's cute, yeah. But I was like,
Yeah.
okay, Lo, like weird personality, but
Yeah.
it's okay.
Lo asks Lauren what's up with Steven, and Lauren says that he hasn't called her. And Lo says, what a butt face. And Lauren just sighs and says, I hate Valentine's Day. That's the first I hate Valentine's Day of this episode, I believe. They say it like 5 times.
I didn't even notice.
I love it.
And let's do a little bit of a timeline check. So Lauren's birthday is February 1st.
Yep.
And let's say they didn't actually go to Mexico like that weekend of her birthday and they went during like a Christmas break or something a month ago. If that were true and Steven didn't call her for her birthday after having such a romantic like weekend together.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Holy cow, this guy.
Yeah. No wonder she'd be pissed at him. Yeah.
Yeah. I would be so upset.
I mean, Steven sucks, so it's not surprising.
So next we see Dieter. We're at Dieter's house and we see him walking down the steps of his house. He's taking out the trash. Steven pulls up in his truck and Steven tells Dieter that he's just in town for the weekend and that he's going to take Kristin out for a Valentine's Day dinner. He says it's nothing special, but he needs a Valentine. And then he says that Lauren's pissed because he didn't call her and he'll make it up to her. But no one really knows he's in town, so he kind of whispers DL to Dieter. Steven asks Dieter if he has a Valentine, and he said he's going to have a good night. Steven says his is strictly friendly, and Dieter says his is strictly sexy. I wonder who his Valentine was.
Get some, Dieter, get some.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I just thought this whole conversation was weird, and I thought it was weird that
so
Steven was trying to downplay taking Kristin to dinner on Valentine's Day because it's Valentine's Day. And he mentioned Lauren in the same breath, and it was just like, okay, here we go again.
Exactly.
And like, yeah, Steven, Lauren's pissed because she's your supposed friend, and you haven't even tried to have like a little conversation with her. Rude.
And you just hooked up with her.
Yeah. And even if like it was just hooking up, like she's still your friend.
Exactly.
And he knows that she's pissed.
He's being stupid.
It's fine. It's what we expect of Steven. Move on.
Exactly. Yeah. We then jump to Kristin, who says, I hate Valentine's Day. She's putting makeup on and is at Alex H's house. Alex says, at least you have something to do tonight. And Kristin says that she probably shouldn't have said yes to going out with Steven. She asks if it's leading him on, and Alex says, I don't know, probably, but whatever.
I thought that was funny, though, because we talked about this last episode where Alex, like, always goes back on, like, whatever Kristin's doing that's wrong. Like, it's wrong, but, like, it's fine. Like, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alex tells Billy to get his ass over here, and then we see Billy the dog coming to Alex with a flip phone in his mouth. I thought that was so funny. I'm like, is that a normal thing that this dog does? Does he like carry around your phone for you?
I loved him. I wanted him.
It was so cute.
So cute.
Jessica comes in and is also complaining about Valentine's Day. And Jessica says, I just spent $100 on cookie stuff and candles. And I was like, okay, she seems like shocked by that, but that can be very pricey.
That shit's expensive.
I can spend that much at Bath and Body Works like easily. So yeah.
That's expensive. I've done that for Valentine's Day before. Like done like, you know, the cookies and the dinner and the whatever, and it is super expensive, and like you think it's gonna be like a cheap, like cute thing to do. No. I do think it's very, very sweet, especially for a high school girl to do for her boyfriend, and Jason doesn't deserve it.
Yeah.
Totally.
But it's very, very sweet of her.
Yeah, I agree. Alex tells Jessica, Jason's calling your phone. I'm not even kidding. Should I get it? And when Jessica says no, that she wants to get it, Alex says, oh, I'm just kidding. I'm bored. And they all laugh. And Jessica says, you son of a bitch. I was so excited. At least she thought it was funny.
I feel so bad for her.
I thought it was such a cute scene.
It was super cute, but also it's sad.
It is sad.
It is funny and it's super cute because it is something your friends would do to you. But just the way she's like, no, let me get it. Like,
Yeah.
Like he's calling me. Like,
yeah.
Well, and Alice is like, I just want you guys to hang out with me outside.
Yeah.
She's like, I knew you were. I just wanted you to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mean, but like it's also like super.
It was
cute and
funny.
Yeah.
Next, we see Steven picking up Kristin for their dinner date. He has a dozen roses for her, and when Kristin comes to the door, she's really excited to see him, and they hug. And I thought she looked really cute in her red top with the straps on the back and everything. Again, I thought it was kind of mature for a high school student, but I thought it was a really cute shirt.
And she's going out with her ex-boyfriend. Like, why are you this dressed up for a date with your ex-boyfriend that you're not interested
I
in?
didn't think about that.
Totally, yeah.
Like, it was really, I was just like, okay. And then, like, you'll get to it, but I just felt like she was so flirty and, like, so, like, leading Steven on this whole time.
Yeah.
And I just felt uncomfortable for Steven because, of course, he's gonna think that she's into him. She was so flirty.
So they get in the car, and Kristin asks where they're going, and Steven says Ramiro's, and Kristin, she gets excited and says, oh, that place is so good. And then she says it's also romantic. She asks what they did for Valentine's Day last year, and Steven says they didn't do anything, and then Kristin remembers that, oh, they weren't going out. She says the week before was winter formal, and that's when I, like, hated you. Steven says they had fun at winter formal, but they clearly remember that night differently because Kristin says, are you serious? You were grabbing Lauren's ass the whole night. So I went back and listened to Back to the Beach, and they did talk about this, that winter formal happened right around when the pilot episode was shot for season 1. So that makes sense that that's when, like, the love triangle thing, like, for real was in full swing.
And Kristin was like laughing, but I feel like I still felt anger from her when she talked about this.
Yeah.
So she says you were grabbing Lauren's ass the whole night and
effing her.
Okay.
Oh, is that what she said?
Yeah, she says.
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
I didn't catch that.
You were grabbing Lauren's ass the whole night and effing her, basically. She says.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was like, oh, that was really graphic. And Steven, like, his reaction is just like.
What?
Yeah.
I'm like
I had a good time.
So I guess you were. And I just have like, oh, Kristin, this is why you're not together.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are just toxic.
I think they talked on Back to the Beach that this place that they're going to is like a pretty fancy place. And they only picked it because MTV did pay for it.
Yeah. I actually looked up the restaurant, and they're still open, and that dish that Kristin got is like $80 now. So yeah, I was like, yeah, they definitely didn't pay for that.
Really excited about it.
Yeah.
She's like, that place is so good.
Yeah. Steven also said that MTV paid for the flowers that he brought Kristin. I don't think he paid for anything.
I don't think he wanted to take her, guys. Okay, now to burst your bubble, Candace. This whole thing was totally set up. Like, he was like essentially forced to take Kristin and see Lauren, I'm pretty sure, because MTV told him to.
Yeah, I'll talk about the Lauren thing when we get to that scene later, because I went back and listened to a bunch of it, and it's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, they flew him in like for a weekend, and he filmed all these scenes. But it was around Valentine's Day, because it was right after Lauren's birthday, so it was like legit, kind of.
Well, I'm glad to know that it wasn't his idea, because it makes him look like a real douchebag.
Yeah.
Well, and it kind of explains why it was kind of awkward for him and Kristin. Watching it, I felt like, God, he just really wants to get back with her. But now that I'm rewatching it, knowing that he didn't want to be there, some of the things that he like says, I'm like, he looks awkward because like he doesn't actually want her to be his Valentine on Valentine's Day.
He's just like obligated to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they were probably like contracted and stuff, but I would have been like, no, I'm not taking my ex-girlfriend to dinner on Valentine's Day. That's fucking weird.
But MTV's like, but we'll pay for it at a fancy restaurant. So
like, okay.
Yeah, all right, fine. So we then go to Jessica's house, where she is setting up her Valentine's Day surprise for Jason. She has roses, teddy bears, and a ridiculous amount of candles in all different sizes. And I was like, okay, no wonder this cost you $100. It was a lot. Her friend Courtney is helping her set up and says that he better appreciate this. And Jessica says, he won't. He's Jason. He doesn't appreciate anything. And Courtney says if he doesn't appreciate it, that she'll call him herself and be like, Jason, I'm going to kill you. And Jessica tells Courtney that she's nervous. And Courtney says, well, Jessica, he's your boyfriend. He's coming over to have dinner with you. It made me kind of sad for Jessica, like already watching this huge elaborate thing she set up for him. And she already has the attitude of like, well, he's not going to appreciate it at all. So it made me kind of wonder if this was like her like a last ditch effort of like, maybe if I do this big thing for him, then he'll like want to be with me more, or like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, why is she doing this? You know,
knowing what's coming, it's really sad.
Yeah.
And she doesn't deserve it. And it's really sweet. At the same time, it's like, we know he's not going to give a shit. Why are you putting all this effort in?
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think she had to give it one last ditch effort.
Mm-hmm.
I think she was going to hold on until she couldn't hold on anymore. And this was her way of doing that and her way of coping with losing him. So you kind of got to let it run its course.
It sucks because I thought it was really cute. The whole setup.
So cute.
Yeah, I liked it.
I would be so happy if someone did this for me.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
in high school, like that was really elaborate for high school.
Next, we see Kristin and Steven on their date at Romari's. Steven is telling Kristin about how much he likes being in San Francisco, and then he brings up that he was tripping out a lot over winter break. Kristin says, yeah, we weren't friends over winter break. And then she brings up the awkward meeting at the beach and Lowe's party, and they share a bunch of like awkward glances at each other. And then Steven says like, well, it worked its way out. So, okay. Kristin asks if he's been dating, and he says, nope.
That was so weird.
I know. He like hesitates too. Like he took a long time to say it.
Well, I feel like that's so awkward to ask your ex, especially when you like know he doesn't really want to be there. And like, I'm sorry, have you been dating? Are you lying? That's good. Like, that's good.
I feel like she asked the "Are you lying?" because he was so weird about it. It wasn't just like nope. It was like
right.
Think. Nope.
And then he did it again with "Are you lying?" He did nope again.
Because I think he was like, I don't really want to tell you what I'm doing in San Francisco.
I guess, but like Kristin doesn't want to be with him, so he should freaking brag in her face about it.
But they both don't want to be there, you know. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just
even more. Steven, I feel like he was forced into this dinner, but I feel like the last time we saw him, he really liked her still.
Yeah.
Well, right, but he doesn't like. Now he's trying to be aloof.
Well, so on Back to the Beach again, yeah, he said that he went into this dinner with like his attitude was that he was going to have all of his guards up, that like, okay, MTV's forcing me to do this and I'm just going to do it and get it over with. And then he was like, oh, but then when we started hanging out, it was like back to how we used to be and we were just having fun. And I could sort of see like that chemistry coming back between them like later on. But I just thought that was interesting that he said that too, that he did go into it with like, I don't want to do this, but then they still like each other, I think.
They have natural chemistry,
mm-hmm.
these two.
Okay.
Yeah. So when their dinner comes out, Kristin gets a giant lobster plate and she feeds Steven a bite. And I was just like, oh my gosh, because I think lobster is great, but I could not have eaten it the way that it was presented because it looked like she was like digging into the lobster's guts. It was like, you know, its legs were all like out and everything. And I can't eat seafood if it has like eyeballs or a face or anything. I cannot do it. So
I was more concerned with the fact that she fed it to him.
Yeah.
I was like, stop flirting with him. Stop it. It's so extra. She's so hot and cold with him. I was like, this dude, like, has no idea. Like, she either really, really hates him or really, really loves him. And there's no in between. And it's very confusing. And if I were him, I would be very, very confused.
I didn't even think about that, but you're so right.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
It was weird. It was weird.
See, Kristin is a bitch.
I literally have Kristin is such an asshole. My notes for these episodes are so funny because, like, when I'm writing, like, when I don't, like, lead the episode and I'm just, like, writing, like, I'm like, Kristin's an asshole. Like, I, like, and then I don't actually say it, but, like, it reminds me of, like, what I was feeling, you know?
Yeah.
My notes are ridiculous. I should, like, post them just for funsies. Because they're like, oh my god, how awkward. Yeah. Oh my god.
I know, I put, like, LOL in my own notes.
Yeah, I put LOL in my own notes.
I do that too.
You know, I actually, okay, watching this scene, I feel like I wasn't annoyed with Kristin because I was like looking, she was just so beautiful. Like that red top, her hair.
Stop
like,
it!
could not stop staring. I was like, you could do no wrong. That's why I probably missed everything that was happening
Oh my
here.
God, stop it. You're worse than me with Lauren.
Wait, did you not think that she looked the most beautiful here?
No, I really cannot stand her extensions.
Oh, really?
I didn't think they looked that bad.
I don't like her with long hair. I think she's so much prettier with short hair.
Yeah.
I think eventually I did see that like they didn't blend the short and the long. But when I watched this, I was like, girl, you are so pretty.
Her lip gloss was really weird. I don't know.
It was so nude. It was so beautiful.
Yeah.
There is a scene in this episode where I think Kristin looks so cute, but like it's not this scene.
Okay.
We then see Jason arriving at Jessica's house, and he's carrying a large arrangement of roses. So I said, at least he got her something.
Yeah, because he knew what would happen if he didn't. He'd never hear the end of it. Jason didn't even get me a present. No, I'm serious, Kristin.
He comes in, and the first thing he says is, oh, you overdid yourself. How long did it take you to do this? And she says, forever. And I didn't expect any more from Jason, but his reaction still pissed me off. Like, any normal good boyfriend would be like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. Thank you so much. You know, like, this is so cute. And he's just like, oh, you overdid yourself.
I think it's because he was planning on breaking up with her, and I
feel like he felt guilty.
He didn't want her to do that for him because he knew he was like, oh, freaking A. Like, why would you do this for me? You just made this worse.
So they get out the food, and Jessica wants to eat on the floor, but he wants to eat on the couch. And I just thought this was one of those moments where we could really see how much Jessica did like him. Like, she was so excited, and she looked really pretty, and it just made me feel bad again for like what's coming.
It's hard to watch.
So then we're back at Rumari's with Kristin and Steven, and they're eating dessert. And he says he never thought he'd be sitting there with her now, not even 3 years ago, but like a month ago. And she says it's funny how they're so off and on. And she says that this is their third Valentine's Day together. And he asks if she is his Valentine. And then she gives him this flirty look, kind of saying, like, I don't know what to say.
But now knowing that, like, he was probably forced to say that or asked to say that, I feel like that was more of an inside look between them where they're like, oh, great, here we go again. We got to do this on camera.
I'm glad she didn't give him a straight answer.
Young me, though, so wish that Kristin was like, yes, I love you again. Let's date.
Yeah.
I was so over Kristin and Steven at this point, like watching it in like when
Back
it aired.
then.
Yeah, like I was like so over. I was like, he needs to move on and be with Lauren. Like that's who he really loves. Like, we need to stop doing this. It's just a merry-go-round. It's stupid. Like, I was so ready for him to move on.
Oh my God.
And even if it wasn't with Lauren, I think I just wanted to see him with someone that wasn't Kristin. Like, I just needed like them to not be doing this back and forth. Like, but I mean, that's what made the show the show. So who knows?
So back to Jason and Jessica. They're eating dinner, and he asks, where are your parentals? And she says that her mom is upstairs. And I thought that was really interesting because I think this is the first acknowledgement we get of like a parent being home during something like this. And also, like, how awkward for her mom. Like, what if she needed to come into the kitchen or something, you know?
How awkward that Jessica's mom is just upstairs and entertaining this. Like, this is just...
It is weird.
She's like, Mom, Jason's coming over. We're going to eat in the living room on the floor.
Yeah. I'm going to set up 100 candles.
You know what's so funny? I feel like I had this scene in my brain because I like cooked Valentine's Day dinner or some kind of dinner for my boyfriend one time when I was living at my parents' house. The audacity, I know. And then I told my mom, I was like, don't come in the kitchen. We're going to eat dinner together. Just go like stay somewhere else in the house. And she totally was like, no. She's like, this is my house. And I remember being so mad because I'm like, God, Jessica could do this when she was in high school. And I'm 20-something and I still can't get privacy. It's so ridiculous. Oh my God, I'm embarrassed.
That's so funny. So Jessica says that Jason's dad hates her, and he says that she's a bad influence on him. And Jessica seems a little shocked and says, how? And he says, I shouldn't be with you. And then after an awkward pause, he just randomly asks if she wants to go to lunch tomorrow. Like, okay.
Okay, but Jessica is the bad influence? Jessica? Okay.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I know.
It pissed me off. And I'm like, I don't blame Jessica at all for being irritated. Like, what? I'm the bad influence when you're drunk off your ass at winter formal, but I'm the bad influence and I'm trying to get you to not drive drunk in your car.
Yeah.
I'm the bad influence. God, I'm heated for her. And it didn't even happen to me.
It made no sense that he said that.
Well, and I wonder what his parents saw of her to make them say that.
That's what I wondered too.
Right? Did they think that she was causing him to have bad behavior?
Party so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what he was telling them?
Maybe.
Possible.
Because parents only know, like, one side of things, you know?
Or maybe when he was, like, gone all hours of the night, he kept saying that he was with her or something like that, even though he wasn't. Yeah, we don't know. So after he asks about lunch, then she says, don't talk to me. I'm just a bad influence. And he doesn't respond.
I gave her credit for that, though, because she could have just, glazed past it and, like, but no, she stood up for herself. And I
she gave it right back, yeah.
Like, don't talk to me. I'm just a bad influence.
I felt so bad. It like totally shifted the whole mood of the dinner.
Yeah,
it was just like, okay, now this is not fun anymore.
Yeah.
I felt like I could like feel how dry that food was in Jessica's mouth, and she could not like swallow. Like it was just so awkward.
I was also really irritated that they're eating dinner and he's asking about lunch. Like I was really you're like physically eating dinner and you're asking me about lunch tomorrow. Like let me enjoy the food in my mouth.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about food tomorrow. You don't even want to be with me right now. Why are we talking about lunch tomorrow?
So next we see Kristin, Alex H, and Jessica at Jessica's house. They're hanging out in the kitchen, and Kristin's talking about how dinner was with Steven. Kristin said it was fun and not awkward like usual. And Kristin says for her it was a friendly dinner, but they all say that for Steven it's not. And Alex says they're really compatible with each other, and Kristin says that's why they fight so much. They're so much alike. And I was just like, okay, again, with Alex going on and on about how much Kristin and Steven get along and are like each other. And like,
did you notice that this was like an exact replica of last season's conversation between Morgan and Christina about Kristin and Steven? Jessica even says they click and they clash.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah. Jessica says they click and they clash, and I was like, oh my god, this is the literally exact same conversation. It was so weird. I was wondering if you guys were gonna pick up on it.
No.
And Jessica, when she says it, like they're talking over her, so you almost don't hear it. But like she's like, yeah, you guys click and clash, and I'm like, oh my god, like. Literally the exact same conversation.
Strange. Yeah.
It was really weird.
So Kristin asked Jessica how dinner was with Jason, and she says it was the most awkward night. And she says she was looking forward to it because this is the one year she has a boyfriend that she actually likes. It will be mellow, but then it wasn't the same as it used to be. There's something different. And then she says he never calls, he never wants to hang out. And Kristin interrupts her and says she has no sympathy for her because she lets it happen to herself. And she says she's already done the, I'm sorry, Jess, maybe it's this. And now I'm like, you know what? Fuck Jason. He's a dickhead to you. All the while Jessica's covering her ears, la, 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 not wanting to hear it. I know.
At this point, that's so annoying.
Yes.
Like at this point, I'm finally like, okay, Jessica.
I literally have it in my notes. I'm like, Candace, do you think this is bullying?
No, not at this point. No, because it's like, okay, we've been talking about this for legit 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Come on.
And there may not be like clear proof and evidence that he cheated, like Jessica says she wants, but like there is clear proof and evidence that he's like so rude to her and so mean
doesn't
to her.
Actually like give a flying fuck.
Yeah, he's a horrible boyfriend.
The actual worst.
So Alex says after they break up that she'll look back on this in a couple of months and wonder what the hell she was doing. And then Jessica says that she's going to have a little talk with him.
Because that always solves it, right?
Yeah.
He's always so much better after a talk.
If she can get a hold of him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So then we get to Lauren's house, and Lauren immediately saying, I hate Valentine's Day. And she's at her house with her friend Caitlin, and they're talking about how it's fun when you're little and everyone gets the little mailboxes for the Valentine Day cards, but it's not fun now because when someone asks who's your Valentine and you have to say you don't have one, Lauren says it reminds you that if you don't have someone, you don't have someone. And if you do have someone, you shouldn't have to have a holiday to remind someone that you care about them. I agree with that.
Yeah, it's definitely Singles Awareness Day.
Yes, totally. And the whole comment about the little mailboxes in school, it reminded me of like, did you guys have in like elementary, for me it was elementary all the way up to high school, where they would give you a thing where you could like buy a flower or like a thing of candy, and then it would be delivered to that person's classroom?
Yes.
Okay, so that was kind of always like, I had such horrible anxiety in school when that would happen of like, is someone going to get me a rose, or, you know, like,
Okay.
and they
yeah.
still do that. Like at Sloan's elementary school, they are still doing that. And so I make a point to buy her something so she will get something in her class.
Oh,
But I'm
you
like,
get it as her
Aw.
mom?
yeah, so they send a thing home for the
Aw.
parents. Like we can do it. Like I could order something for like the
Aw.
teacher if I wanted to.
That is so
Mm.
sweet.
I know. I'm like, I don't want her to be the kid in the class when they come in with all this stuff and she's like, am I going to get something? You know?
Aw. I don't think they gave parents like an option to do that. It was more like kids that like
Yeah.
each other, you know, getting these
Right.
like secret roses
Yeah.
from their secret
Yeah.
admirers. And I will admittedly say I was always sad when I didn't get one.
Me too.
Because like deep down, you all want one, you know?
Yeah.
So my school did like, okay, first of all, on Valentine's Day, I don't know if the office did it or who did it, but in high school, your name was written on a heart.
Mm-hmm.
They were all over the school. So you could go and like find your heart and like take your heart. Or if you had a crush on somebody, you can go find his name and take his heart. Like people would do
That's
that kind of thing.
But take his heart and do what?
Just have it.
Oh.
Like
So
nothing.
nobody else can
But
take
like
it.
the whole thing was like, oh, let's go find our names. Like, and you would go around the school and like try to find where your heart was. And so I have a bunch of those like from high school that I like saved, like my Valentine's Day hearts with my name on it. Because
Aw.
obviously none of my crushes were taking my heart. And so we did that. And then we also had serenades.
Oh my goodness.
You could buy them, and it was the choir classes. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
You could buy them, and they would go to your like person's classroom and literally do like pull them into a chair and like serenade them and like do a
Oh
little
my
like song and
Wow.
dance for them. And I was in choir freshman year, and so the freshmen had to do like a big performance in the quad, and we like had to like pull people from like, you know, the audience in the quad and do serenades that way, and the older kids got to like go to classrooms and do that. It was like a big deal to get a serenade, and I never got one. And I was always so bummed. And then I do remember like some teachers like hated them because it was like a distraction.
Oh,
So
yeah.
even if you like you paid money for somebody to get a serenade, sometimes the teacher would just block the serenade and like not let them come in.
Aw,
I
that's
know.
horrible.
Isn't that awful? And like some
Yeah.
kid paid like $7 to have the choir come sing to this girl.
Like it's
and
one day.
the teacher's
Just let
not
them
gonna
do
let
it.
them. I know. It was dumb. But yeah,
Yeah.
the serenades were a big deal at my school.
Would you feel awkward being in the choir singing to that person?
I was so embarrassed to be doing that. Like
Yeah.
as a freshman, I was like, I can't believe I have to do this. And like, it's a requirement. It's part of choir class. Like you can't opt out of it. So like, I was like, this is embarrassing. But I would have been way more embarrassed if I had to go to like classrooms and do it. So I was like, I think that's probably why I didn't take choir like further, because I was like, I don't
Like
want to
dreading
do
it.
these serenades like at all. But yeah, I remember we sang like that 80s song, Let's Hear It for the Boy.
Oh, from Footloose.
Yeah.
How many of you did it at a time?
We had like groups, so like 6.
6? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Embarrassing.
Yeah,
but
you're not
like,
doing it like
horrible.
by yourself. Yeah.
Or like a double or
Yeah,
like
no.
a
And
two
like the
or
ones that
three.
went into the classroom, there were like at least 4. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
it wasn't
Okay,
like
that's
you're not like
still-
by yourself, but it's
still
still just
small.
like, oh my God. And yeah,
Yeah.
so we sang, the freshmen sang Let's Hear It for the Boy. And then I don't know, like you could pick different songs, I think, when you buy the serenade, like depending on
Mhm.
like which group gets it or whatever. Whoever it is, like they like pull them up and they get to sit in a chair and like they do like a whole dance around them, and like, you know, it was really cute. But yeah, I never got one, so not better.
So next we are back with Steven, and first we see him shaving, and then we see him go to a candy shop and buy a box of chocolates. He shows up to Lauren's house with the chocolates and a bouquet of flowers. He rings the doorbell, and Jim, Lauren's dad, walks by, sees that it's Steven, and instead of letting Steven in, he calls Lauren on like the house intercom and asks her to go answer the door. I thought that was funny how he like had to do, didn't just like go to Lauren's room or whatever, like he called her from another area of the house. Like it really shows how gigantic their house is.
That's how you know they're rich, honey.
Yeah.
Rich.
So Lauren comes to the door and she sees Steven out the window, and he's like sticking his tongue out at her, and she says, "Oh my God." And she opens the door, screams, gives him a huge hug, and he gives her the flowers and chocolates. And
And this is so genuine. Like,
it
Lauren
was
is like
super genuine.
so shocked to see him there.
They hug again, and then, of course, he has to give her a noogie.
Okay, but MTV made him do this? Like, show up to Lauren's?
Yeah.
Did she know that?
No.
No, because they wanted to catch her surprised.
Okay.
So what he said was that he claims that he didn't know that they were going to edit this together to look like he was also bringing Lauren a Valentine's Day gift. He said the real reason he surprised Lauren was because he didn't call her on her birthday and that she was mad at him. So he says MTV, they again paid for the flowers and the chocolates. And then he said that he was confused when they were filming this and wondering why Valentine's Day was brought up in the conversation. But I kind of call bullshit on that because he was flown down there to have Valentine's dinner with Kristin. So why would he be surprised by that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he acted like, oh, they edited it to make me look like I did this and I'm a jerk and whatever. And I'm like, well, you should have known.
And if he was so cautious about filming like all of these scenes, like you would think that that's a scenario he would have played out in his head.
I think Steven plays dumb.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Well, I think that's why we're so annoyed with him.
Right. He doesn't want to look a certain way. And honestly, that's what prompted me to make this podcast. Because I was like, they're not giving me the tea that I want, and they're not talking about the things that I want to talk about. So I will just make my own.
Totally, yeah.
I'm like, honestly, that's what it was. And we could do deep dives and whatever. But it's like, I wish that I could like go back in time and be a fly on the wall and just get all of this inside information, because it, like some of this stuff is like lost in memory, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And like we'll never ever know. But like this was like live or die shit. This is what I was like thinking about on a regular basis. Like, you know, I need answers. It's like one of those things, I'm on my deathbed, I'm gonna be like, someone get me Stephen Colletti, I have questions, you know? Like
yeah, before I die.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So did we just hear that Millennial TeaV started because of Stephen?
Yeah. So you all
Says
can thank
Candace.
Stephen Colletti
thank
for
you,
this.
Stephen.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for our friendship.
We owe it all to Stephen.
Because I listened to like 4 episodes of Back to the Beach and I was like, this isn't enough.
It is true though. I felt that way a lot listening to it, and I haven't re-listened to the episode where they have Jessica on, but I remember they didn't ask her enough good questions about everything. I was disappointed in that episode.
And they all just say like, "Oh, I don't remember. I forgot,"
Yeah.
which I'm sure is true, but I'm
Right.
I feel like,
You know,
I feel
Gotta
like
remember a little
they
bit
kinda
more.
use that. Yeah.
Alex didn't, which I actually appreciated. Jessica did the I don't remember a lot, but Alex was like, no, I did this because of this, and I stood up for myself, and
Right.
so I appreciated that, and I didn't listen to the other ones. Like I didn't listen to Jason.
He didn't remember anything. So.
He remembered nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
His was disappointing too.
Yeah. I didn't. Yeah, and I didn't watch the Lauren one, and I need to. I know I need to.
That's a good one.
I was so excited when I heard about them doing the podcast, and then I listened to it, and I was like, it's like lacking.
They had like some tea. Like Steven remembered a lot of stuff, and it came off as like, I know you said like Steven still like liking Kristin,
Yeah.
but I appreciated it because he remembered stuff about their relationship that we had
Yeah.
never heard before.
That's true. Yeah.
Anyways, thanks, Steven.
I know.
So Steven tells Lauren that he was going to call and see what she was doing, but instead he decided to just show up. And he says he got in the previous night and just chilled for the night. And she says Steven doesn't have a Valentine, and asks why he didn't call because she would have hung out with him. And then he kind of like sort of totally deflects that question.
Completely.
Yeah. She asks if he's leaving today or tomorrow. And then he says he's leaving in an hour. So she thanks him again and they hug one more time before he has to leave. Caitlin says she wonders what he did last night, and Lauren, she just does like a cute little shrug. And then Jim comes in and says that since he got her candy, that means that he loves her.
What do you guys think about that? I'm like, I watch it and I think it's so cute because like my
Yeah.
dad would never I would never have this conversation in front of my dad.
Really? Oh my God.
I'd be embarrassed.
Oh my God, never. Yeah, I would be embarrassed. I think he would be too embarrassed to say anything like that in front of me.
My dad was like my best friend. He would say stuff like, I don't know, like, this is so something my dad would say, and I'd be like, oh my God, ew, stop. But like,
yeah. My dad would make me feel more embarrassed by it. I feel like he would make fun of me. Yeah.
But I liked, like, my dad 100% would make fun of me. Like, I remember one time I had a boyfriend. Again, I do air quotes because, like, who knows? It was like 8th grade. But I had a boyfriend, and he signed my yearbook, like, love always, you know, and I was like, oh my God, like, and we didn't talk all summer. And I called his number. I called his number like right before school was about to start back up again because I wanted to know if we were still together, right? And
oh my God.
He answered the phone and I said, I can't believe I'm telling this story actually. He answered the phone and I was like, hey, it's Candace. And he was like, who?
Oh no.
And I was like heartbroken.
And that is traumatic.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like immediately hung up. I was like heartbroken. My dad was like in the room. And for the longest time, I would be like, he was my boyfriend. And he'd be like, yeah, but he didn't know who you were. Like, forever. And I was like, it was like horrific. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And then
Did
I went
you
to
cry.
Oh my God, of course. Like, and then I went to school and like I saw him and he saw me and like I was like, I guess we're like broken up because he like didn't talk to me, which was fine. Shout out to Peter Farsi, wherever you are.
Oh
but
Peter.
yeah, but he was like my first boyfriend that like I really liked him and he was like the new kid in school and like we did a like 8th grade field trip to an amusement park every year and like he was like standing behind me and like holding my hips like in line, like, and that was the first. I know.
Wow.
It's like the first time I ever had like any guy like be like a real like boyfriend to me. So I was like super into him, and then like I mean we didn't talk all summer, but I didn't think he'd forget me. He wrote "Love Always" in my yearbook. Like that means something to an 8th grade girl, you know?
I feel like that was his way of breaking up with you without having to do the whole thing.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, my dad made fun of me
so
forever for that. Like,
I would be crushed.
You didn't have a boyfriend. He didn't know who you were. And I'm like, okay, like literally until I was like 25, my dad was making fun of me over my 8th grade boyfriend who didn't know who I was. So yeah.
Oh my God, that is real trauma. Candace.
That is.
Seriously.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome for me sharing that with you guys. Just so everyone knows I'm doing fine now. I'm really not still upset about it. It didn't like ruin my psyche. But I do love Jim saying this because Lauren references it later on the hills. And so I loved that she like remembered that her dad said that to her.
Yeah.
But speaking of Jim, did you guys see the crazy tea on Jim and Kathy on the Hills subreddit?
I did.
I'm scared. No, I didn't. What happened?
So Jim and Kathy are divorced. Because Jim cheated on Kathy.
When?
I don't know.
Recently?
I'm not sure. He cheated on Kathy. They're divorced, and there's like a big rift in the family. Like Lauren and her sister weren't talking to each other for a while over it. Lauren doesn't talk to Kathy anymore.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, Lauren doesn't talk to Kathy?
Yeah.
That is so weird.
And there was like a family member of Lauren's on Kathy's side, like spilling this tea on Reddit.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I have to go like find this thread.
Yeah, check it out. It's crazy.
I saw people talking about it on the post where someone posted photos of her brother's wedding, I think it was.
Yeah.
And there were a couple photos of Jim, and everybody was saying how good looking he was. And that's when I saw a little bit, but I didn't see that post like, from the person who has all the information.
Yeah, they were like, I just want to set the record straight because everybody keeps talking about Jim and Kathy on this subreddit, and I'm a relative of Lauren's, and I just want to like set the record straight. And somebody asked like something about Lauren, and she was like, honestly, the last time I saw her was at Brandon's wedding, and she was like, or whatever her brother's name is, but I'm on Kathy's side, so I honestly don't talk to her very much because her and Kathy don't talk.
Wow.
I'm shocked.
I know.
It's so sad to hear that.
I know. I love their little family.
Yeah.
It broke my little heart.
I feel like they're like the parents you think will just like stay together forever
Yeah.
from watching the show, and they have this beautiful house, they've raised these like beautiful children, and it's just like, let's just die knowing that they were together forever.
I know. I was like really shocked. It's like not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
But now that I know it, you have to be sad and know it too. I don't want to be alone
And
in
now
it.
all of you have to be sad too.
You're welcome. Millennial TeaV will always keep you in the loop.
So next we are at Jessica's house when she gets a phone call from Jason. She asks him why he's being mean and says, I'm not always mad at you, but if you wouldn't lie, then I wouldn't be mad at you all the time. He says something on the phone and she asks, so you're saying you just want to be friends now? And she agrees with him that they got along better when they were just friends, and if that's what he wants, they should go back to being just friends. She says it sucks for her too, and then the phone call ends. And I felt like this was a fake scene, sort of, because I felt like if Jessica was really getting broken up with in this moment, she would have been a lot more emotional. But I don't know. Like, what do you guys think?
Her immediate mood change when she realizes that they're breaking up.
Right.
That seemed really real to me.
I agree. I said, like, she did say that she used to have fake producer phone calls with producers on the show, but this one looks quite real to me.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell. Okay.
And I would have been like, yeah, it's fake, but she does like cry like right after she gets off the phone, and she does like, it's immediate, like just her being like, oh, we're breaking up, that's what's happening right now. Like, it's very immediate. So I don't know, I think this phone call was pretty real.
Okay. I couldn't tell. We then see Jason and Cedric getting tacos at Wahoo's. Cedric asks about the breakup, and Jason says he was over it. He says they hung out once or twice a week for like an hour, and she was always bickering and acting weird. And I said, I wonder why things didn't work out with how often you guys were hanging out. Like, I wonder why she was acting weird.
And his explanation for breaking up is so, like, arbitrary. Like, she kept saying I was acting weird. Like, okay.
Yeah, like, I know. He says he called her over the phone and said that it wasn't working out. Cedric asks how she reacted, and when Jason doesn't say anything, then he says that he thought she was going to kill herself.
Nice, Cedric.
Oh my god.
I was like, that is the most insensitive thing to say. Like, that made me so mad that I'm really not liking Cedric this rewatch.
Yeah.
They talk about how she was probably expecting this to happen anyways, and Jason says that now he has to go drop a bunch of shit off at Jessica's house. And Cedric says, well, that's going to be the most awkward thing ever. Then we see Kristin at Jessica's house where Jessica is filling her in on the phone call. So I was like, I wonder if we didn't see all of the phone call, because that's when Jessica starts saying that she asked, how does it suck for him? Or how the fuck does this suck for you, Jason? This is what you want. How does this suck for you? And then he said it sucks. It has to be done over the phone. And she asks him why she was trying to get him over to her house so hard. And she says it wasn't to cuddle. She was going to do this.
It wasn't so we could, like, cuddle.
Do we think she was going to break up with him? Like,
no, there was no way.
Yeah, I don't believe that at all.
I know. She wanted to believe that it wasn't so they could cuddle, but it was.
Right. So Jessica's phone rings and says it's Jason. When she answers, she says hello, and when she's listening to him talk, she does the biggest eye roll at whatever he's saying on the phone. She asks when he's coming over, and then she puts him on speakerphone, and he says soon, and she says okay.
But she still gets, like, so excited that he's calling.
Yeah.
She's still so pumped, and I feel bad for her. She's like, oh my god, it's Jason. Like, right. You're
like, is he gonna call and say I changed my mind or something?
Right, yeah. But
she says she doesn't understand what the point of him calling her is, and she says he just calls me like to call. And then Kristin says he's a little late, and I thought that was so funny.
It was funny.
Like,
and true.
Very validating. Yeah. So we see Jason pulling up in his truck, and Jessica is saying she's nervous while she's peeking out the window. And then when he comes in, Kristin and Jessica they're like giggling on the couch, and it was really weird.
I'm like cuddling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after he sits down, then Kristin gets up and she says, I'm going to go, but you two guys have fun. And then before she leaves, she does tell Jessica to call her later. Jessica asks Jason how his day was, and he says good, and asks how her day was, and she replies, it was just great. He kind of laughs at her, and then she gets upset and asks, what's so funny? He says nothing, and she says, because I don't find this very funny. He says he's sorry while he still has this like annoying smirk on his face. And then Jessica says, will you stop with your stupid little smirk and like, And Jason says, okay. And then after an awkward pause, Jessica says, anyways, do you have something to say that you're not saying? And Jason says, yeah, sorry for like treating you like shit pretty much. And Jessica shrugs. And then she says, it's okay. I deserved it.
Okay.
Oh my God.
What is that? Is she being serious?
Why?
Is she being sarcastic? Is she being I've always had an issue with this scene because I have no idea. The way she says it is so confusing.
That's her like low self-esteem like speaking, I feel like. And that's like her still trying to make him feel okay and like to make him feel good.
But did she want him to say, no, you didn't? You didn't deserve it? Is that why she said it?
I don't get that.
I don't know. I don't
get that.
Yeah.
I feel like she just said it to like not diffuse the situation, but just to like pat it and make it like okay. But without realizing that it's like, don't say that. Like you do not deserve it. So I don't know.
I hate that. I hate that whole scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she asks him, why do you think you treated me like shit? And he says he honestly doesn't know why. She says she doesn't understand why it changed so much, and he says there's no reason. And then she asks if she thinks it's possible for them to be friends like they were before, and with zero hesitation, he says no. And then she says nothing, and he gets up to leave.
Good for him, honestly, for saying no and not even
leading her
like,
on.
yeah, like a little
her
window
on the hook.
chance.
Yeah. It is sad though, like because she was not expecting him to say that, and it like her whole face like
oh gosh,
changes.
it was like yeah,
she really thought like, and I do think that she thinks that they were best friends before. They weren't, because you're just not best friends with a guy that you like ever. It just isn't the way that it works. But yeah, I think she really did think that they were good friends and really wanted at least that. And like hearing that you're not gonna have that is like, I mean, it's heartbreaking.
The most heartbreaking thing ever.
I had an ex that like I would always be like, would we still be friends like if we broke up? And he was always like, no. I think this was the problem with the relationship, but like, you know, he was like, I'm with you because like I want you to be my girlfriend. I don't like want to just hang out and be friends. Like we don't have like, I do things with you because like you're my girlfriend and like I want to spend time with you, but like I don't want to like hang out and be buddies and like do things that I do with my buddies. Like I don't do that with you. It's different. And I was always so hurt by it, but like it makes sense. Like, you know, like I know, like if you're not my girlfriend anymore, then like we're not gonna have that. Like, you know, so I get it.
I'm not friends with any of my exes.
Me too.
There's only one that I'm like have no hard feelings towards, but the rest of them I'm like I never want to talk to any of them again. So
me too. I feel like it gets like messy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Stay friends with your exes, and I just don't have that like ability to. I don't know. I just automatically when it's done, I'm like, I hate you and I don't want to see you around ever again.
But like, it's hard when you get older because you get like invested in that person's family and like that person's life. And like I have an ex, like we're not friends, but like if he reached out and wanted to be friends, I would be like, that's fine. Like not best friends. I don't want to like hang out and go to the movies, but like to catch up every now and then and like, you know, talk like and not be weird with each other and like be able to be like Facebook friends, like just because like his family and stuff, like, you know, I still am friends with on Facebook and like I still like root for them and like, you know what I mean? Like it's just different when you're older. Like in high school, it's like leave me the hell alone and never want to talk to you again. But like as you get older, it's kind of like you do still kind of want some sort of friendship. Like if it doesn't still hurt, you know, if it's not still raw.
I think it depends on why you broke up too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Jessica's crying and she calls Kristin, who immediately says she's coming back. And I think everyone agrees that Kristin is like the best friend in this moment. Like everybody needs that friend who's like, I'm coming, I'll be right there. She comes in and asks what happened. And Jessica says it was the worst conversation of her life. And she doesn't even know why she's crying. Kristin gives her a hug and Jessica tells her that he basically just told her that he doesn't think they'll ever be friends again. And she says that she's the kind of person who blames everything on herself. And she doesn't look at it like Jason is doing this and that, but instead asks herself if she could have done something different. Kristin says she can't blame this on herself, but Jessica says she does anyways, and it sucks. And then Kristin tells her she didn't do anything wrong, and Jessica says that she feels stupid because they were only together for 2 months, and she's so upset about this. Which 2 months, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like
my longest relationship in high school was 2.5 months, so...
Wow, was it this dramatic?
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like, not, he was, like, I mean, he did cheat on me, and, like, I got with somebody else, like, pretty much right after, and he told me that I ruined everything because we were gonna get back together, and now I'm with somebody else, and, like, I should have known that we were gonna get back together, but now I've ruined everything, and, like, I was so devastated. Because I was like, but you didn't tell me that, and if I had known that, I wouldn't have done it because I was, like, obsessed with you. But it was obvious, like, manipulation, but whatever. But yeah, it was definitely this dramatic. So, like, I get it. It's high school. It's high school.
Did you break up with the new boyfriend to get back together with the old one?
No, because I really liked him too.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
And, like, I was like, so we're not getting back together, so what's the point of, like, I'm not gonna, like, ruin the relationship that I have. But he actually, we were only together for a month and a half, and he broke up with me. He said that he felt like he was emotionally cheating on me with a girl that he was really good friends with because he really liked her, and he hadn't done anything, but he felt like he was emotionally cheating on me.
That's deep for a high school.
I know.
Yeah. So Kristin tells Jessica that they will be friends again. She says, maybe not right now, you can't be friends again, but you will be. And she says she did this whole thing on and off with Steven for 2 years and that she can't keep thinking about it like that. And Jessica says, yeah. And Kristin tells her she's sorry. And then Jessica tells Kristin that she'll see her in the morning, and they hug again before Kristin leaves. Yeah, I hated hearing Jessica talk about herself like that, how she always blames herself. I feel like that's extremely relatable. Mm-hmm. But it made me really sad that she was, like, putting all of Jason's horrible behavior on herself this whole time.
Yeah.
It was hard. But, yay, they're broken up.
Finally.
Yeah, but Kristin's such a good friend in this scene. That was awesome of her to, like, come running back.
Yes.
She couldn't have been far.
Yeah, but, I mean, it was very, very sweet, and I was like, good job, Kristin, good job.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, she's a bitch, but she is a good friend.
She's a good friend, yeah.
In this scene.
Yeah.
She does some backstabby things later, but...
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Can we all agree what is our favorite outfit? On the count of 3, okay? 1, 2, 3.
The
Kristin's
sweater.
Argyle.
Yes!
Yeah.
I thought you guys were going to say the Valentine's Day outfit.
No, yeah. I wrote down Argyle sweater, yeah.
Yes, no, her Argyle pink sweater and her cute updo.
So cute.
I was dying. She was so cute.
Those Argyle sweaters can look pretty, like, it is very preppy, but can look very, like, nerdy as well. Yeah. But she wore hers with no, like, undershirt. It was, like, literally a tank top for her.
Yeah.
She just looks so pretty.
Yeah, so cute. And she looks good in that color. And, like, I hate her with the long hair, but it up like that was super cute. The way that she had it. And that's all I kept thinking about and looking at during this scene was how cute Kristin looked.
But I'm going to call out her red Valentine's Day outfit, too. I really like
that was my second, too.
I was surprised. Yeah. I was like, I thought both of you were going to say the Valentine's Day outfit for sure.
That's so funny. Did you guys have a favorite moment?
Yeah, I said the Kristin-Jessica friendship at the end. Just that whole scene was just very, very sweet. I enjoyed that a lot.
I feel like I'm going to say delusional, and I'm going to say the scene of Steven giving Lauren flowers and chocolate, because I'm going to ignore the fact that he lied to her and that he didn't call her on her birthday or for Valentine's Day, and that he went to dinner with Kristin the night before. I'm just going to remember how happy Lauren was seeing him, which was super cute. And that, ladies, is my favorite, is how in love she was with him.
How does it feel to be Team Lauren?
I don't know. I still won't say that I am Team Lauren, but I'm liking her more and more. And I'm liking Kristin a lot less than I used to.
Were you a Team Jacob girl in the Twilight days?
More so than Edward. I wasn't crazy, but I was more Jacob than Edward.
Figures.
I was always Team Edward.
Oh my god, Jacob was so much hotter than Edward.
I just like to be on the winning team. So.
How about you, Liz? What about your favorite moment?
Mine was like a favorite moment / a little bit of a jealous rage when Jason asked Jessica how her day was, and it was just great. Like... Oh, yeah, just the awkwardness of that.
It was giving the vibes of that Dieter conversation from the first episode.
Yes, yeah, Totally.
Thank you for being so studious and courteous and
Yeah.
yeah. I love her for doing that though. Like there's certain times where Jessica like really like nails it. Like
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, good. Yeah. Give it to him like that. Yeah.
like I'm not gonna have fucking fun, Kristin.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like-
Yeah, I love it.
It was a good episode. So I hate Valentine's Day. Thank you so much for listening to our Season 2 recap of Laguna Beach. You can follow us on our Instagram at Millennial TeaV. That's Millennial TeaV on Instagram and on Reddit. If you have any suggestions for our podcast, you can also send us an email at millennialtv@gmail.com. And please give us a follow on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts to get notified when we release our episodes every Tuesday. Thanks again and see you next week.